Hey guys, welcome back to TJ's Tech. This is my friend Sydney. We've been friends for almost 10 years now, and naturally we've been gaming together for God knows how long.
Bro, that's at parties. Bro, I went up.
I promise him that the day he's able to afford his first PC, I'll personally make sure that it's the best possible PC he can get for the money. Well, today's that day, and in today's video I'm going to be picking out the best PC parts I can find for him. And in the second part of the video I'm going to be building it and sending it out to him so that he can finally game on superior hardware. So without further ado, let's get started. Alright, so to start it off, for the CPU we're going to be going for the good old Ryzen 5 5500. It's a 6-core, 12-thread CPU. Bit of an old CPU at the moment because now we've got what is it, Zen 5. We're on a little bit of a tight budget here. The budget of the full build is supposed to be 10,000, but as you might see later in the video, it's going to be a little bit more than that because I wanted to squeeze out as much performance as I can. Great budget CPU. It's not going to give us any problems. It has a 65 watt TDP, which means power consumption isn't going to be that high, which is good for first build. It has a base clock of 3.6 gigahertz and a boost clock of 4.2 gigahertz. More than enough performance. For the motherboard, we're going to be going for the Asus Prime A520MK motherboard. It's obviously an AM4 motherboard, so it's going to support our CPU out of the box. Only problem with this motherboard is it only has 2 RAM slots, 1 PCIe slots, and it's micro ATX. So not much upgradability from here. But again, this is the first build, and we're on a little bit of a tight budget here, so can't overstretch ourselves. And somehow these motherboards just get more expensive as they age, so it's really hard to get a decent motherboard for the budget that supports AM4. But this motherboard will definitely do. It doesn't have Bluetooth and Wi-Fi, which is something I think he's definitely going to need. Gonna add a Wi-Fi adapter and a Bluetooth adapter into the budget to make sure that he has, you know, both wireless and wired internet, and also Bluetooth, of course. For the RAM, we went for a 32 gigabyte kit. And the reason why we chose 32 gigabytes is that I think he's going to be doing a lot of gaming, a lot of multitasking, and probably he wants to get into content creation as well. He's considering getting into streaming, so I want to make sure he has as much RAM as possible. Also, because the motherboard it only supports 2 RAM slots, so I want to make sure that he's set in terms of RAM for the next couple of years, if he does choose to keep this PC for the next couple of years. Also, just so you know, it has as much RAM headroom as possible. 32 gigabyte is becoming the standard nowadays, even though 16 gigabyte is more than enough. I still use 16 gigabytes in my system, so he is going to have way more RAM than I do. Next up, for the SSD, we went for a 1 terabyte SSD. Would have liked to go for 2 terabytes or more, or add another 500 gigabyte SSD on top of it, just so he has more storage, because I know he's going to be playing a lot of games. It's very heavy on the gaming. He plays a lot of games at the same time, so I want to make sure he has as much storage as he can possibly get. So 1 terabyte is going to be, I think, enough for him, but he's going to want to upgrade in some future time. This is PCIe Gen 4, so very fast SSD. So loading times are going to be great. He's not going to be complaining about that. And boot times are also going to be great. Lovely speeds there. Next up for the case, we went for the Montech Air 100 ARGB case. It's a great budget case. It costs 1,100. I think it's a great case for a budget build. Very well equipped. I think cable management here is going to be really good, and I think it has a built-in RGB controller here. Can definitely fit in an AIO cooler here in the future, like a full 361 up here in front, and probably a 361 up on top as well. I'm not sure. I think he could possibly do that. So yeah, if he ever wants to upgrade in the future to something like that, he definitely can. But yeah, this will do, and it's gonna look really good. Forgot to mention that we won't be getting any third-party CPU cooler. We're going to be using the stock cooler for this build, just to save a little bit of money, and also because the stock cooler will do just fine for the Ryzen 5 5500. For the power supply, we're going to be going for the Deepcool. What is this? Deepcool PF500. It's a 500 watt, 80 plus certified power supply. And the reason why I'm going for this power supply is that we're going to be looking at getting GPU along the lines of like the 3060, RX 6600, 6600 XT kind of performance. So 500 watts is going to be just enough. Haven't necessarily ordered this GPU yet. I've been kind of evaluating my options, trying to see if we can find anything on the secondhand market that's going to be a little bit cheaper with a little bit more performance. But if that fails, we're just going to order this RX 6600 for 4.7, which I think is a great GPU. This was the first GPU I used in my build, so him using the same GPU would be a continuation of the tradition. It's 8GB GDDR6, so it's gonna struggle a little bit in the latest titles, but I don't think he's gonna be playing any AAA games. He's more into indie games like your Naruto and your Dragon Ball Z, and he plays mostly Fortnite, so I think this GPU will do just fine. He's going to be running Fortnite at well over 200 FPS on low settings with this GPU. But on the secondhand market, I contacted a few people, but doesn't seem to be promising. This guy here was selling an RTX 3060 Ti and selling it for 6,000. I tried to undercut him a little bit and I offered him 4.7, and unfortunately he couldn't take that offer, so I just had to accept that. And then there is this guy selling an RTX 3060 for 5,800 and doesn't seem to have any reviews, so I'm a little bit skeptical if I don't see like reviews on the person's Facebook Market profile, because then it probably means their first sale, or probably means that they're a scammer. So I was a little bit skeptical about this one. I messaged him and offered him 4,000, and he says can only take 5,000. And I just played his game and I said, all right, I can try and do that. And I asked him to send some pictures of the card, which he did on WhatsApp. But then for some reason, after sending the pictures, he deleted them. It's kind of a red flag to me. So I just decided to just let him be, because I wasn't very confident in how he was doing stuff. And 5,000 is a little bit of a stretch. The highest I can go is 4,500 for a secondhand card. Then there was this guy. I really thought this one was promising. He was selling this RX 6600. He unlisted it now, unfortunately. He was selling it initially for 4,300, but then I offered him 4,000 and he said 4.1, which I was okay with. And after agreeing to meet with him on Monday, unfortunately he sold the GPU, so I just moved on from him. I contacted a few other people here. This guy's selling a RX 6600 XT for 4,000. His name's Jared. Seems like a decent card, and it's 4,000, which is cheaper than this, excluding shipping. And it's a 6600 XT, which means it's more powerful than the 6600 here on Woodware. So this would be a great deal. Unfortunately, he's a little bit far from me, so that would mean if I buy from him, I would have to pay for shipping. So he ships it over to my place, which is something I really do want to avoid. I want to avoid buying from somebody who's not local to me. If he does eventually respond, that would be great. RTX, and then there's this guy selling an RX 6600 for 3,650, which is an amazing deal. He's based in Pretoria, and he has a really good description, and he's got decent reviews as well. So pretty sure I can trust this guy. But again, he's in Pretoria, which is a little bit far from me, which means I would have to organize shipping and all that, which don't have a problem with, but it's kind of risky when you're dealing with Facebook Marketplace sellers. But I have done this before with another seller, and he did ship out my GPU. But I did it with another seller and he scammed me, so really don't want to take risks. But if he does respond, I think I'll take him up. I'll take up his offer. Then finally, there's this guy. He's selling an RX 6600 XT. It's an RG Strix one, which is almost a flagship in these on-board partner cards. His name is Zan van der Merwe. He's got decent reviews here, and he's selling this card for 3,800, which is an amazing deal. But again, he's in Rustenburg, a little bit far from me, which means I have to pay for shipping to my address, which I wouldn't mind for such a great card. But hopefully he responds to me, and we'll see how it goes. I think his card is the one I'm considering the most, and hopefully he responds and we can organize something. If all else fails, I'm just gonna order this Gigabyte Radeon RX 6600 for 4,800, which is, I wouldn't say it's a great deal, but it's our only option, and it's our safest option, although a little bit more expensive than we want it to be. That's why I'm gonna go deal. I ordered all the parts besides the GPU. I am gonna be waiting for those parts to arrive, and in the meantime I'm gonna be hunting for some GPU deals, but I will upload an update video on that next week or the week after that. So make sure you turn on post notifications and you'll be notified when that video drops. So I'll see you in the next one. Like and subscribe.